assumed that I was gonna feed myself, but I was
like
like,
a banana?
oh, that's very good of you, thank you. But I'm a slob. I'm like meat and candy. That's far too healthy for me. And then I chose a couple of extra minutes sleep rather than eat. I was like, my bed is so cozy. I don't really want to go.
So, what can you tease us about the next season?
Nothing. Next question. I mean, obviously, you know, it's we pick up again from the season before where all is not well amongst the tree crew and the sky crew. You know, there's obviously still going to be investment in those factions and those dynamics. We need to see what's going on with those. We're going to learn more about both politics of both groups and other groups, and you know, really going to invest into more of the origins of what actually happened, you know, pre-apocalypse. You know, so there's very much a huge sci-fi element to season 3, very much more so than the previous 2 seasons. So again, we're going to have our 2 worlds that run simultaneously because we like to keep a little bit, you know, of a mixture, a little bit something for everyone. I think it keeps the freshness to the show where you can bounce between, you know, environments. So you have Jaha and Murphy off on their travels with the whole alley thing going on, and the AI story, which is gonna really blow your minds this season. I'm not gonna say anything because I'm so scared to spoil that. I will not say a single thing, but it's gonna be great, and it's fascinating, the stories that they've got coming up with that. As for Lincoln, Lincoln's obviously still not found a home, basically. You know, him and Octavia have been struggling trying to find a home. They're not really accepted amongst both people. However, they find themselves now in amongst the Archers at Camp Jaha. So how do they cope with that? You know, they're going to cope with actually being together. The whole second season they were kind of ripped apart. Now they're actually together, and they're both kind of fighting from different angles. They're going to be hit with all sorts of challenges from other Archers, from the politics of the Archers. Lincoln maybe trying to assimilate. Octavia maybe going against that. She's never been the one to kind of fit in. She's always rebelled against them because at the end of the day they kept her under the floorboards, you know, for her whole life. So Lincoln just wants peace. He wants everyone to get along as always, but he's got to keep his lady happy. So it's all happening this season. It's all happening this season.
Are you enjoying the growing complexity? You know what I mean? Like the show seasons goes on, it gets more.
I'm enjoying it. I just don't enjoy trying to talk about it because it confuses me. But yeah, it's just you know, we got some fantastic writers, and obviously Jason Rothenberg is so creative, and they just keep coming up with these, you know, mind-blowing storylines and layers. You know, it's the one thing that I've said, you know, in every interview. You know, they give the fans what they need and not what they want, and they layer all the characters that there is no good, there is no evil, there's only perspective. You know, so last season we had the Mountain Men, you know, perceived as these evil people trying to drain the blood of the Sky people, but they were just trying to save their own people, you know, and depending on what side of the fence you lay on, you know, to the Mountain Men, they were heroes. You know, they were trying to save their people, trying to get back onto Earth. But obviously, the way they did it was barbaric, but, you know, it was a means to an end. So you've seen the good characters as well. The good characters doing, you know, bad things, taking lives, you know, fighting for survival, because that's what the show is primarily about. It's about survival, and what it takes to do, you know, to survive. What would you do? You know, we all sit here and judge, and we're all like, oh, that's disgusting, that's horrible, that's terrible. But if we found ourselves in this situation, you know, you and your loved one, you and your sister, you and your people against someone else that you don't quite know, who are you going to choose? You know, and then we'll be quite surprised to find out that maybe we would make some of these harsh choices that we never really thought we could have made. You know, but that's the fun of sci-fi. It's fantasy. It's not real. You know, we've kept a lot of real elements in there, but it is a fantasy. So it's fun to experiment and to go through all these different kind of, you know, scenarios and stuff. And it's only going to get more complicated this year. We're going to see a lot more layers from a lot more characters, and more layers in the world. Actually, you're going to see a lot more layers in the actual world. Again, I'm not going to go too much because number one, it's confusing, and number two, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to get fired.
Has Jason given you an idea, since obviously Lincoln wants to be a peacekeeper, about whether or not that's going to be compromised this year more?
What Lincoln wants him to be a peacekeeper?
Yeah, just in terms of keeping the peace or just finding his space. Is there
I mean, we never really, we still haven't invested into what Lincoln's about.
Right.
We know nothing about Lincoln, and hopefully this season they're going to invest more into why he is the way he is. I mean, he's very much a lone figure when it comes to. There's good people in the Grounders, but Lincoln stands out and will literally put his life on the line for what he believes is right and for Octavia, and we need to know why. So,
you know why? Has he told you so that you can play that with authenticity?
To be honest, there's some things that I do know and that we'll see this season, but I've generally had to create my own backstory. As an actor, if you don't believe it, you can't portray it. So, I know where Lincoln's family came from. I know Lincoln's background, the bad things that happened to Lincoln as a child. We touched upon how his father made him kill someone that he was trying to care for and rescue when he was very young. I believe he was like between 4 and 7 or something like that, maybe 5 years old. So from a very young age, he's been taught to kill, and he touched upon how the world's been trying to turn him into a monster since he can remember. And it's always going to challenge him, because the world's not a nice place. It's about survival, and so people are going to do bad things. And Lincoln's always going to push against that and fight against that, no matter how what comes along. Whether it's his body gives in or his head gives in, the other doesn't. And if that gives in, he's always got Octavia. So he's going to constantly fight against what he believes is wrong, and will always fight the good fight. And to me, as I guess we all believe we're all heroes, but I believe Lincoln's a hero. He fights for what's good. He fights for those who can't fight for themselves. So we're going to see a lot more of that this season.
Your backstory, I've got to grab him. Your backstory, what you made it came up with that match.